Today, I'm going to show you how to give a persuasive presentation in a business setting. A key role in professionalism and business as a whole is for your colleagues to understand a certain viewpoint of yours and ultimately agree with you. Giving a persuasive presentation is a terrific way to help people understand where you are coming from on a certain topic and why they should feel the same way. In the business world, there are a lot of aspects where people will not completely agree with you on a certain topic, and in certain opportunities, you might have a chance to change their mind. Today, I'm going to describe some of the best ways to deliver a persuasive presentation that include the 4 main factors of persuasion, hitting the listener's hierarchy of needs, as well as making sure you are confident and credible. The 4 main factors of a persuasion presentation include evidence and logic of the message, credibility of the speaker, psychological needs of the listeners, and opinions of key listeners. So evidence is defined as factual statements. Logic is, or the reason, is the study of orderly thinking. When the listeners are persuaded, they attribute the persuasion to the superior logic and evidence used by the speaker. So you need to have your facts right, and you need to have certain logics that help explain the topic, as well as evidence that support those logics. Credibility is huge when persuading an audience, and that brings me to the second one. A credible person is someone whom others view as believable and who they can place their confidence in. In the business setting, you want to be trustworthy, and with that comes credibility. You need to have your facts right, and you need to make sure they're right, and you need to have credible sources in order to gain that information. So the third, while persuading a group of potential business partners, you need to first persuade the key people whom others look for advice. And usually those key leaders may have higher education, more knowledge in the field, and a more formal education, and others look to them. So it's more so the bosses. So if you can convince them on the topic and persuade them first, it will trickle down to the other employees. Lastly, in a persuasive presentation, you need to adapt the arguments to the psychological needs of the listeners. If you can connect to the audience and relate to them personally on the certain evidence that you have in the topic that you are persuading them about, the more likely they're going to consider your evidence. Discovering your listeners' basic needs and motives is essential of a part of a business analysis, and it ties also to the hierarchy of needs, which I will get into next. In 1954, Abraham Maslow believed that all people have the same basic categories of needs or drives. Those include self-actualization needs, esteem needs, social needs, safety needs, and physiological needs. The need to fulfill these needs becomes stronger once those are denied, and you can easily take the current situation available right now with COVID-19, and people are really wanting these needs. The needs to go out, the needs to work, some people, the needs to go get groceries, that might not be available to people, and people are really fiending for these needs. When presenting a persuasive topic, you need to keep in the mind of the listener's hierarchy of needs. Although people may be motivated by several of the levels at one time, generally the lower rung must be satisfied before the next rung becomes important. So the lowest one is physiological needs, and that includes like the basics, the air, food, water. You need to make sure that they are safe due to the safety needs, and that then it just trickles up all the way to the self-actualization, which might be the most important. Each level of these hierarchy needs is very important, and it's all about engaging with the audience and connecting with them on a personal level. The point of self-actualization should be where you want to connect with the people, especially in the business setting. Self-actualization involves becoming the best possible person one can develop into. So whatever your topic is, whatever topic you're trying to persuade them that this will help them out and help them become a better employee and overall person as well. And also, it will be able to achieve someone's full capabilities. You need to persuade them of that. And finally, in order for your listeners to really believe in what you are saying, you need to be confident in what you are saying, and you also need to be credible with the information. Credible is crucial. A highly credible source is commonly found to induce more persuasion toward the advocacy of a low credibility one. I can, for example, in the sports world, which I'm very familiar with, you want to get credible sources on breaking news, and those credible sources might include the bigger networks, or people in which I get my news from a lot is Twitter. And if they have, you can make sure they're pretty credible if they have the verification symbol on that. And source credibility was found to have a direct effect on the persuasion process in the context of recreation of behavioral responses. And some studies have shown that the perceived trustworthiness of the sources affects the persuasion as well. So if you're a highly credible person, the more trust you are going to gain. And the more trust you're going to gain from those people, the more persuaded they will get. And when you present something very persuasive, you need to determine what your initial credibility is before you step in. If your listeners have met you before and have heard about you or your department, you already have pretty solid credibility with them since they know you. But if they don't know you, you need to have as many of cited sources as possible and evidence that support your knowledge in order to gain that credibility. And if the credibility is positive, it will add to your persuasiveness. In conclusion, a key role in professionalism in business as a whole is for your colleagues to understand a certain viewpoint of yours and agree with you. And giving a persuasive presentation is a terrific way to help people understand where you are coming from in a specific topic and why they should feel the same way. So today I explained to you some of the best ways to connect with your audience and help you persuade them with whatever you intend by implementing the 4 main factors of persuasion, the hierarchy of needs, while doing it in a credible and confident manner. And these are the 3 sources that I used, including the textbook. Thank you. How long is it?